missions it'll bring, let's take a minute or two for a really good review session on intersections and turns. Ready? Okay. Your first task will be to pull out into the street and ride in the proper lane position. But first your checks, right? Mirror, over left shoulder, and of course, having signaled, you pull out into the street and bring it up through the gears to around 20 miles an hour. Okay, controlled intersection ahead with a stop sign for us. So prepare to stop. Then, only when safe, continue on ahead. Now, most important, before continuing through this or any other intersection, check left for cross traffic. Check right. Then, only when safe, continue. But remember, if either of your checks is blocked by anything, you'll have to move ahead slightly in order to get a clear view. So check left again. Check right again. All right, now it's clear. So bring it through the gears to 20 miles an hour again. Other intersection ahead. This one uncontrolled with any signs or signals. As we approach it, we check our mirror to identify any following traffic. Now, keeping all our senses alert for cross traffic, we check left, check right, and because it's clear, we continue ahead. No problem. Lots of intersections, right? Now that one up ahead is controlled with an electric signal. But you saw it turn green, and that pretty obviously gives you permission to continue straight through. But checks as always, check left, check right, and continue safely on through. Excellent. Just about ready to go meet some of that other traffic we promised you. But first, let's review a couple of turns. Intersection ahead, and you'll be making a right turn. So, check mirror, check over right shoulder, and smoothly move to the right portion of the lane. Now as you slow, check mirror, check left, check right, and now having signaled, you smoothly accelerate through the turn. This time, you'll be making a left turn at that intersection. So, check mirror, check left over shoulder, check left, check right, and now having signaled, you release your brakes and smoothly enter the turn. First class. And now, before you meet that more complicated traffic, slow and pull over to the curb and stop up there by that white car on the right. But first, check mirror, check over right shoulder. Signal, you bet. And using your brakes properly, you execute your maneuver smoothly. Stopping, putting your gear in neutral, and keeping your engine idling. And now, through the magic of modern cinematography, we introduce you to some of that traffic we've been talking about, and our task right now is to enter or join it. So, to enter and blend, you check traffic ahead and behind, then signal, mirror, over shoulder, and if clear, you slowly and smoothly accelerate into a gap in traffic. Okay, not bad. And right now, we want to take the opportunity to remind you of the importance of surveying and predicting, whether in traffic like this or anywhere else. Your keeping your eyes moving to pick up and identify important clues. You're scanning way ahead to see as much as you can, not just the roadway streaking by under your wheels. And your mental computer is always working on things like spotting escape routes, in case you should have to use them. Okay, car ahead of us now. And because we want to concentrate on following distance for a minute, we won't be filming those important intersection checks. But don't forget them. At the beginning of this unit, we mentioned the 3-second following rule. But how can you calculate that? Easy. As you keep your eyes moving ahead up there, you note that you will shortly pass that railroad overpass. And the moment he does, start counting at 1-second intervals. Ready? Count. 1001, 1002, 1003. And because you passed that overpass on the count of 1003, you know that you were 3 seconds behind him. A cinch, right? Try it again with that blue sports car. Now start your count the moment he passes that white van parked on the right. Okay, count. 1001, 1002. Only 2 seconds behind him, which doesn't give you enough of a safety cushion in case you have to brake or find a quick way out of a sudden emergency. Solution? Gradually slow down until you are at least 3 seconds behind. Naturally, in the case of certain special vehicles that obscure your visibility, like that truck ahead, or vehicles like that delivery van up there, you'll want to increase that following distance to 4 or even 5 seconds. In any case, you adjust your speed to changes of speed in the lead vehicle and other conditions in the traffic environment, like those yellow road department vehicles whose flashing lights help you identify other possible hazards, like that hose across the road and the water on the street around it. Hey, car in your mirror means you're being followed. Happens all the time. And it's no big problem. But it's absolutely imperative that you signal your intentions so that the car behind you will know in advance what you plan to do. Controlled intersection ahead, and you'll have to stop with that car still behind you. So you check your mirrors frequently as you smoothly and gradually stop. Check left. Check right. Oncoming vehicles, right? No way to avoid them in traffic. They have as much right on this street as you do. And they're going to be an important part of your life on two wheels. Know something? We bet you sense that riding there in the left part of your lane is just a bit uncomfortable in a situation like this. And common sense triumphs. Because indeed some of those advancing cars are passing dangerously close to you. Solution? Move to the right of center in order to give yourself that extra cushion of space that you can use to advantage. With oncoming traffic, you're better off over here. No, you won't want to stay here, in part because other drivers like that will often crowd into your space. Oncoming traffic. Yep, it can do some sudden and unexpected things. Going to stop the film for a moment to help you identify and predict what those approaching cars will do. It's okay to pause here in the middle of the street briefly because of those parked cars. But go ahead. What do you predict will happen next? Right, that truck will intrude into oncoming traffic, and some of those drivers may decide to borrow some space from you. And would you believe that that's just what happens? IPDE. You remember, use the formula. It works. All right, your ride has brought you to our drive-in. So go ahead and park, putting the gear in neutral and turning your engine off. And while our waitress friend takes your order, a moment or two for some other traffic tips, which you'll find mighty useful in places where this kind of traffic shares the road with you. Remember how you learned to examine the road surface for its composition and possible obstructions? Well, you might think that in a town environment like this, such examinations aren't needed. Oh, yeah? Just take a look at the kinds of surfaces that your two wheels will encounter out there. Manhole cover can be slippery, especially when wet. Broken pavement can wrench your handlebars and your wheels out from under you. Street markings, slippery when wet, or even when dry for that matter. Construction area. You can guess what something like that would do to you. Railroad tracks. They're possibly the worst surface hazard of all if you cross them at an angle like that. Take it again, rider, properly this time. If you have to cross tracks like that, slow down and cross at right angles. Got it? Yep, when you meet traffic, it's a cinch that you'll also be meeting a variety of road surface conditions, and every one of them will affect you. And there's some other things out there that will require and get your concerned attention as you keep your eyes moving to get the big picture. Item, traffic controls. The signs, signals, and other devices of all kinds that guide your riding decisions by telling you what you can or can't, should or should not do, and which warn of potential hazards ahead. Pavement markings, they too tell you about your traffic world and how you're expected to behave within it. But your surveillance of that moving world out there offers a lot of other informational clues, many of which are supplied by other vehicles. Item, vehicle lights. Turn signals. Brake lights. Backup lights. Flashers. Item, vehicle movement. Speed change. Direction of front wheels. And the list goes on. It's all part of what we mean by traffic surveillance, made easy by your unobstructed visibility, made complicated by things like that helpful mirror which doesn't always reflect sizes or distances or speeds faithfully. Why? It's small size for one thing, and its tendency to jiggle or blur. And sometimes its convex shape will allow distortions, and other vehicles may appear to be farther away than they really are. Just one more reason for the over-shoulder checks we've been talking about. They not only show you the vehicles that may be distorted or in your blind spots, but they help you get a look at the drivers, too. If his eyes meet yours, he's probably seen you. If not, watch out. All right. Thanks for everything, waitress. And while you go back to work, we're going back to traffic. So remember your helmets, start your engines, turn on your headlights, and let's go. May we have the engine starting checklist, please? Now, up through the gears to 20 miles an hour. And through a bit of that cinema magic, we place you behind that car ahead. Remember, we talked about the 3-second following rule. Well, expert cyclists insist on a 12-second scanning rule. That's right. Motorcycle experts and professional riders always scan at least 12 seconds ahead of their bikes in order to identify as many clues as possible that may affect what they do and how they do it. How can you possibly tell what 12 seconds is? Well, that car is 3 seconds ahead of us. Our 1001, 1002, 1003 second count can tell us that. So we just multiply that distance by 4 in our minds. And we know we should be scanning at least as far as those cars parked by that third telephone pole on the left. So rule to ride by, we call it the 3-12 or adjust rule. Follow other vehicles no closer than 3 seconds, and take full advantage of your unlimited visibility to aim high by scanning at least 12 seconds ahead. And if anything should happen to make those times shrink, adjust, usually by slowing down. Got it? Rule to ride by, 312, or adjust. And always keep your eyes moving and be alert to respond to attention-getting situations, like that car signaling for a turn up there. Your response, slow down. Be prepared to maneuver if necessary. Because relationships in traffic change, and that street sweeper up there might just pull into your lane, and you'll want to be prepared for it if it does. Incidentally, vehicles like that stir up a lot of debris, and you can be glad you're wearing your goggles. Remember, too, that when you meet traffic, it can be almost literally everywhere. Not just ahead, but behind and to both sides. Oh, incidentally, both you and that guy up ahead of you are riding in a hazardous position now, and both of you should move over to the left. Know why? Sure, opening car doors. At least that's one of the things that can force you to make an abrupt lane change without the proper checks. In part because so many of those other drivers out there just don't see you. And speaking of danger, see that intersection up ahead where the green light gives you the right of way? Don't count on it. Because all too often, guys like that will run the red light and you can't win an argument with a car. As the experts say, your challenge level is pretty darn low. Light's turned red now, and it's going to take a few moments to turn green. But don't doze off. Lots of things happening out there ahead and behind. And to the sides, both right. So put it all into your mind computer so that you'll be ready with the right riding responses when the light turns green. All right, you've got the green light. So check left, check right. And now, because it's clear, go. Pulling ahead through that intersection and bringing your speed up to around 25 miles an hour. Controlled intersection ahead, right? Light's green for you, but you didn't see it turn green, so you don't know how long it'll stay green. Your good judgment, whenever you see a stale green light like that, is to slow down and be prepared to stop. And that's just what you do right now. Good decision, because that stale green light did turn amber, and you were ready for it. Okay, green light. But before you go, check the mirror, check intersection to the left for possible cross traffic. Now, same check to the right. And because it's clear, go. All right, you're riding at a safe speed here, guided by that speed control sign, which we hope you noticed. And because there's a variety of traffic, some of it oncoming, your every sense is alert for instant identifications, predictions, and decisions. And you're prepared for executions of all kinds. Stand by. That yellow truck up there may well borrow a bit of your space when it pulls around that double-parked car. So, change your lane position to the right. Good job. Except for one thing. You forgot to make your checks. All right. Potential hazards out there, like those parked cars and that intersection ahead. So it might not be a bad idea to cover your brake. See anything else way up ahead that may affect you? Sure, lots of things. But that kid on the bicycle stands out as perhaps the most important. He doesn't seem to know what he's doing. So how can you? Answer, you can't. Just be prepared. Good riding. You identified that bicyclist as a potential hazard, and you are prepared to brake properly and in time. Okay. And as you resume your proper speed, you are reminded that good identifications, predictions, decisions, and executions are the name of the game in traffic, whether on a cycle or anywhere else. That encounter with the bicyclist reminds us to observe that in traffic, you'll be identifying all kinds of hazards which will require your best judgments of the risks involved and the riding responses you'll make. Some hazards are immediate, like you're braking for that bicycle back there. Others are potential, like the vehicles in that construction zone up ahead. They could make some unusual moves that might affect you. So, your response? Right, decelerate, gear down, be prepared to brake or maneuver to avoid a possible conflict. And some hazards, like that erratic driver whose control over his direction lets you predict that he just might have been drinking, you can dismiss as their threat to you disappears. Which permits us to remind you that your control over direction may be adversely affected by things that reduce or change the grip of your tires on the road surface. Like right now, there's some water way ahead, which the moment you identify, you'll predict is slippery, decide to slow down and cross it at control speeds, and execute your decision properly and in time. Other road surfaces that affect your control over direction? Oh, sure, you remember there are lots of them. So use your IPDE strategy at all times, and where possible, avoid them. Okay, just about time for you to meet some traffic on your own. But first, check mirror, check over right shoulder, signal, and pull over to the curb by those construction barricades. Keep the engine idling. We'll only be here for a moment. You know, hope you don't think that we're hippity freaks. But before you join that world of unpredictable traffic, please let us remind you of those 4 letters so terribly important for your behavior in traffic. I for identify the relevant clues. P for predict to the best of your ability what may happen. D for decide what you'll do and how you'll do it. And E for execute your prepared decisions. And one last reminder, remember that those other vehicle operators out there may not see you. An ordinary lead pencil will block a motorcycle from view at less than 40 to 50 feet. So you know what that does to you in a car's blind spot. Right, it makes you absolutely invisible. And finally, some of those vehicles may have to turn in front of you, and altogether they'll complicate your life. But if you've understood things so far, you're ready for traffic. So, you're on your own. Okay, we're going to pull out from the curb and join that traffic. So check your mirror, check over shoulder, and stand by. Okay, all clear. So let's go. Controlled intersection ahead, right? We're going to turn left up there. So what's your decision right now? Sure. Change lane position to be ready for that left turn. Good. Your speed right now should be about 20 miles an hour. And that vehicle ahead quickly involves you in a decision about following distance. Right, you were a bit too close. So you slowed to increase that distance to the recommended 3 seconds or more. other intersection up there, so read it carefully. We're going to be turning right this time. Good example of why we make those checks, right? All right, little bit of everything out in front of you this time, so stay sharp. Like we said, auto drivers don't always let you know what they're going to do, partially because they don't always see you, like that guy. Lots of intersections in this kind of traffic. So you slow and stop and wait. And while you're waiting, you scan around for those well-known clues that may affect your next few seconds of riding. Light turns green, and you're ready to go. But would you believe that that girl in the white shirt is crossing against the light? Sure you would, because you identified her as a potential mind changer, and you had a prepared decision all ready for her. Okay, your speed here is around 25, and your eyes snap glances at the parts of the environment that are important to you, including, always, your mirror. Looks like you're not the only motorcycle out here, and that one's going to pass you. Hey, good-looking bike, right? But don't get hung up on it,